Matthew 5, 1 to 12 is probably one of the more commonly known pieces of Matthew's Gospel. And it is referred to as the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew's Gospel, as opposed to Luke, who referred to it as the Sermon on the Plain. And there was a distinct difference why they chose that. Those differences. Matthew's trying to parallel Jesus with Moses going up onto the mountain to receive the commandments from God. And as such, he is speaking to a very select group of people in Matthew, and that would be his disciples. In the Sermon on the Plain, Luke, Jesus is talking to crowds of people on the level place, the level field. And there are many hundreds or thousands of people there as Jesus taught, but in this particular case, the Sermon on the Mount, it was an opportunity for Jesus to begin to teach his disciples, the ones that he had chosen. And if you had been here last week, you would have heard that Jesus called the first four apostles Simon Peter, James, and John, and Andrew. And today we have this moment where Jesus is saying, okay, this is what you need to understand. And he offers the Sermon on the Mount as the first lesson. And basically what the Beatitudes are saying to them and to us is that to be a person of faith and to live in a world that is so seemingly unjust, that to be blessed means to turn the world upside down. The way that we perceive the world, the way that we come at the world, the way that we are participating in this world, the Beatitudes stand diametrically opposed to everything we've come to understand. One of the things I think we need to hear also is from the prophet Micah. Some of the most wonderful words from what Micah is referred to as a minor prophet. And some of the most common words that we've heard are the words of verse 8 that we've just sung, asking the question, what does the Lord require of us? What does the Lord require of us? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with God. What are we required to be and to do as followers of God, people of faith? To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with God. It sounds easy enough. But to stand in the face of injustice and to speak truth to power is often challenging for many of us. To love kindness, to be compassionate, to love your neighbor, to walk with those who are marginalized, to embrace the stranger, sometimes is extraordinarily challenging at the best of times for us. And to walk humbly with God, to walk in humility that I am not a perfect person and I've got all sorts of work to do, and to understand that life is a journey, and part of that journey is understanding and looking within ourselves at those places where the darkness resides. So what does it mean to truly be blessed? Well, it is the difference, I think, between understanding what joy is and seeking happiness. What do you think the difference between joy and happiness may be in life? Well, let me give you a hint. The word joy comes from a Greek word, makarios. And this is the definition. Makarios describes that joy which has its secret within itself. That is, joy which is serene and untouchable and self-contained. That joy which is completely independent of all the chances and all the changes of life. All the chances and all the changes of life cannot disturb the essence of makarios, or joy. That is, that we live in a place, a foundation of life, that regardless of what is thrown at us, we can function and we can live in the confidence and understanding that God is at the center of everything. Standing in contrast to the word happiness. Now, the word has at its root hap. Happiness at the root hap, which means chance. that human happiness is something which is dependent upon the chances and the changes of life, something which life may give and that's something which life may take away. That our happiness is dependent upon our success, our direction, our health, all that we acquire, all that we understand, to know, to be living in this kind of world and society. But I want to offer you a story that, for me, transcends happiness and expresses for me what it means to live with blessing, the blessing of God, and to live with a joy that, as I've said, transcends the reality of what occurs on our daily life. And this is a story of a young woman from the United States who, as a teenager, was growing up and felt that apartheid was unjust and felt that she wanted to do everything in her power to change those unjust structures of apartheid in South Africa. And this was in the early 1990s. And I want to read you this story. Except for her passionate love of South Africa, Amy Beale was a typical American kid. A straight-A student and a college diving champion who would end her diatribes against apartheid with the words, "Free Mandela." So it was not surprising that when she won a Fulbright scholarship, she opted to go to South Africa and immerse herself in the country's culture and in its politics. But her young life ended abruptly in 1994 when she was stoned and stabbed to death by a mob of angry young black militants. She was killed by the very people whose lot in life she was trying to improve. But instead of being angry with her murderers, her parents did something extraordinary and atypical that absolutely boggles the mind. The Beales dealt with their grief by doing what they believed their daughter would have wanted. Understand the fury that drove the mob. They sought to forgive the killers and become, in effect, the patron saints of the village that her very killers had come from. Her parents, Linda and Peter Beale, decided they had to try and understand their daughter's commitment to the people for whom she had given her life. They read her diaries, in which she wrote about her admiration for those who were suffering under apartheid. The Beales and their 3 other children decided that they had to go to South Africa. Linda attended the trial of Amy's killers. They visited the squatters' camps, the Black Township where Amy's killers had grown up. They came to understand how those squalid conditions could have led them to violence. And Linda even went into the home of one of the murderers and met with his mother. She says that after hugging her, "I walked out of that home," she said. "There was a rainbow in the sky. My heart was very light. I felt I had come to terms. And if that is forgiveness," she said, "I felt it. And I felt, I feel at peace with myself. So to me, that is forgiveness." When asked about Beale's forgiveness, Rhoda Callender, one of Amy's professors in South Africa and a close friend, said, "It is a gift from God that they can forgive the killers of their daughter, meet with the mother, go into the homes of the killers and understand who they are and where they have come from." Not only did they understand, they spent much of their time in that village passing the very spot where their daughter had been killed. What they've done to carry on for her is to establish a non-profit Amy Beale Foundation. With $500,000 in grants, donations, and their own money, they have sponsored 15 programs, including welding classes and after-school programs, which involve thousands of young people, all in the very community where their daughter had lost her life. And what the Beales are doing is widely known in South Africa, and like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, everyone marvels at it. The Beales have turned it all upside down, Tutu said. It is the victims in the depth of their own agony and pain who are saying, The community which produced these murders, we want to help that community be transfigured. The 12-year-old sister of one of the murderers is enrolled in the after-school program, and when her brother and the 2 other murderers applied for amnesty after serving just 4 years in jail, Peter and Linda did not object, even though they could have blocked the release. I could go on about other things that this family has done, but it is at some levels beyond my ability to comprehend what that must be like, and how it is possible within the depths of the grief and agony of losing a child that these people could turn the world upside down to see within it a blessing that they felt they were called to pass on. That is at the heart of the Beatitudes. It is understanding that the world as we know it is beyond what we have come to understand and to accept. And it is the ability to know that it comes from a power greater than ourselves, and that without that power greater than ourselves, we are unable to live this life of the Beatitudes out in its fullness. The world can win. The world can have its moments. The world can be unjust and unfair. But the heart of it all, as peoples of faith, we ask God to bless us and those around us, and understand that that in and of itself is a gift about which we have no control. Thanks be to God. Amen.